There comes a moment in life when everything inside you wants to run. Run from the pain, run from the pressure, run from the process. You start thinking, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I misheard God. Maybe I'm not strong enough for this. But what if what you're running from is the very thing God is using to prepare you for what you prayed for? What if the discomfort you feel right now isn't meant to destroy you, but to develop you? You can't ask God to take you higher and then resist the wind that lifts you. You can't cry out for a breakthrough and then flee from the breaking that brings it. God doesn't prepare people in comfort. He prepares them in conflict. He shapes greatness in the furnace of difficulty. Every time life feels heavy, every time you're stretched beyond your limit, every time you wonder why it's taken so long, He's doing something inside of you that can't be seen yet. You are in the hands of the potter, and He's molding you for a greater purpose. The shaping hurts because the vessel is valuable. If there was nothing inside you worth fighting for, you wouldn't feel this kind of pressure. The intensity of your struggle is proof of the importance of your calling. Sometimes God won't let you escape because He knows this season is producing something eternal in you. You're praying for relief, but He's focused on refinement. You're asking Him to change your surroundings, but He's using your surroundings to change you. You want out, but He wants you to grow up. You want comfort, but He wants capacity. And when it's over, you'll realize He wasn't trying to harm you. He was strengthening you for what's next. You cannot carry a major breakthrough with small faith. You cannot lead others out of struggle if you've never learned how to survive your own. The pain you feel right now is the sign that something powerful is being birthed in you. Labor always precedes life. Before resurrection, there must be a cross. Before the crown, there must be a crushing. You might be standing in the middle of confusion, crying out for answers, wondering why God hasn't intervened yet. But He's closer than you think. He's working in silence, aligning things you can't see, preparing doors you didn't even know existed. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour is part of His divine strategy to position you for destiny. When you feel like giving up, remember this: running from the process won't speed up the promise. It will only delay your development. Don't run from this storm. It's teaching you how to walk on water. Don't run from this fire. It's purifying what needs to burn away. Don't run from this wilderness. It's where your strength is being born. Every trial you're facing is a training ground for the breakthrough ahead. The pain is temporary, but the power it produces is permanent. God is not trying to break you down. He's breaking you open. He's pulling potential out of places you didn't know existed. You're being stretched because you're about to be sent. You're being refined because you're about to be revealed. The opposition you're facing is not a sign that you're losing. It's evidence that you're close. The enemy only fights what he fears, and he fears what God is about to do through you. You've been tested, pressed, and refined because something greater is on the horizon. So don't run from this. Stand still and let God finish what He started. The same hands that allowed the storm are the hands that will bring you through it. The same God who let you be shaken will use that shaken to awaken what's been asleep in you. This season may hurt, but it's holy. This moment may sting, but it's shaping your destiny. Stay in the process, because the process is preparing you for a major breakthrough. There is a breaking that must come before every blessing. We want the blessing. We pray for the blessing. We shout about the blessing, but few of us are willing to endure the breaking that makes the blessing possible. Because the breaking doesn't feel holy. It doesn't look divine. It feels like rejection. It looks like loss. It sounds like silence. But what if the breaking is not God abandoning you? What if it's God trusting you with transformation? When bread is in the hands of Jesus, before he multiplies it, he breaks it. He doesn't bless what he hasn't broken. The breaking is not punishment, it's preparation. Before the bread could feed the multitudes, it had to be torn apart. And that's exactly what happens in the life of a believer, is chosen for something greater. God doesn't break you to destroy you. He breaks you to distribute you. He breaks you so that what's inside of you, your wisdom, your strength, your anointing, can feed someone else. We love the idea of being used by God, but we forget that before something can be used, it must first be changed. The vessel that sits untouched on the shelf looks pretty, but it serves no purpose. The moment it's placed in the hands of the potter, pressure comes, shaping comes, and sometimes it feels like pieces are being torn away. That's the breaking. God applies pressure to reveal potential. He allows discomfort to develop character. He interrupts your comfort zone to uncover your calling. Maybe right now you're in that season where it feels like everything you counted on is crumbling. The people you trusted walked away. The doors you thought would open slammed shut. The plans you made fell apart. And you're standing there asking, Lord, why are you letting this happen to me? But you must understand, he's not letting it happen to you. He's allowing it to happen for you, because some things can only be released through breaking. Oil doesn't flow until the olive is crushed. Fragrance doesn't fill the room until the alabaster box is shattered. The miracle doesn't manifest until something is broken open. The breaking brings exposure. It exposes what's real, what's weak, and what needs to go. It forces you to confront what's been hiding beneath the surface. In the breaking, you start to see yourself differently. You start to see God differently. You realize that the things you thought were holding you together were actually holding you back. You realize what you lost wasn't necessary for where you're going. You start to understand that the breaking is not the end. It's the unveiling of something new. When God breaks you, he's not subtracting, he's multiplying. The bread that was whole in Jesus' hands could feed only one, but once it was broken, it fed thousands. You think the breaking is decreasing you, but it's actually expanding you. You think it's the end of your influence, but it's the beginning of your impact. God uses the broken parts of your story to reach places you could never go in your wholeness. That's why you can't despise the breaking. That's why you can't rush the process, because every crack, every scar, every wound carries evidence of his work in you. And sometimes the breaking is the only language heaven can use to get your attention when you won't move out of comfort. God allows a crack to form so that light can get in. He allows what you've been holding together to come apart so that you'll finally let him rebuild it his way. It hurts, yes. It confuses you, yes. But it's doing something deep inside you, something eternal, something divine. The breaking is birthing something blessed. Pressure is one of the clearest signs that purpose is at work in your life. It is the weight that comes when you are carrying something bigger than yourself. It's the invisible hand of destiny pressing down on your soul, reminding you that you were never called to live ordinary. Pressure comes to those who are pregnant with potential. It comes when God has placed something inside of you that the world needs, but it cannot come out without force. That's why life starts pressing you from every side, because something divine is trying to emerge from within you. When you feel pressure, it doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It often means you've stepped into something right. People misunderstand pressure. They see it as a sign of struggle, but in reality, it's a sign of significance. A diamond doesn't appear in the open air. It's formed deep underground under intense heat and pressure. Without the crushing weight, it would remain just another piece of carbon. It's the pressure that changes its identity. Likewise, God uses the weight of responsibility, the strain of waiting, the tension of uncertainty to transform you from what you were into what you were meant to be. Sometimes you cry under it. Sometimes you question it, but it doesn't change the truth. If there's pressure on you, there's purpose in you. You can tell when someone is carrying something sacred because the warfare around them increases. The more valuable the cargo, the heavier the load. The enemy doesn't attack the empty. He only attacks the one who's full. When you start to feel the resistance, that's not a signal to quit. That's evidence that you're getting close. The weight is confirmation that you're on the right track. Pressure is heaven's way of building endurance. You can't carry greatness with weak shoulders. Before God gives you influence, He gives you inconvenience. Before He gives you promotion, He gives you pressure. It's in the late nights, the silent prayers, the moments where no one claps for you, that God strengthens your spiritual muscles. It's in the frustration of not yet that He trains your heart to handle. Now, every calling carries weight, and that weight is what prepares you to walk in purpose without collapsing under it. Think about how pressure brings out what's hidden. Grapes look ordinary until they're crushed. It's only when they're pressed that the juice, the sweetness, the flavor, the potential flows out. In the same way, there's something inside you that cannot come out until life squeezes you. The pressure pushes out your creativity, your resilience, your courage, your faith. You start discovering dimensions of yourself you never knew existed. You realize that you're stronger than you thought, wiser than you believed, and more capable than you imagined. Without pressure, you would have stayed comfortable, but pressure won't let you settle. It keeps you growing, stretching, becoming. Pressure also exposes who's really with you and what's really in you. When life gets tight, when the room gets hot, when the crowd thins out, that's when authenticity rises to the surface. Pressure reveals purity. It burns away the unnecessary. It forces you to prioritize what matters. Some relationships can't survive your purpose because they weren't built to handle your pressure. Some habits can't follow you into the next season because they'll collapse under the new weight. That's not loss. That's refinement. The pressure is not removing your worth. It's revealing it. So the next time you feel the tension building and you start to wonder if you can take one more step, remember what's happening. You're not being crushed without cause. You're being shaped for capacity. Every ounce of pressure is expanding your ability to carry glory. You are being stretched because something powerful is about to be released through you. The wilderness is never wasted, though it often feels like the loneliest place in the world. It's that in between space where you're no longer where you were, but you're not yet where you're going. It's the place where familiar comforts disappear and faith becomes your only compass. You pray and the heavens seem silent. You move and nothing shifts. You wait and time feels like it's standing still. But what if the silence is not punishment? What if it's preparation? What if the wilderness is not a delay, but divine development in disguise? Every person God ever used went through a wilderness. Moses found his calling there. Elijah rediscovered his strength there. Jesus was tested there. The wilderness is God's classroom for destiny. It's where he strips away every false dependency until all that's left is trust. It's where he teaches you to hear his voice without the noise of the crowd when everything around you is gone. You find out whether you've built your life on applause or on relationship. The wilderness has a way of showing you what's real. It doesn't feel good because growth rarely does. In the wilderness, you start questioning everything. You wonder why the opportunities dried up, why the people you thought would stay have left, why the prayers seem unanswered. You feel unseen and forgotten, but the truth is you're being hidden, not forgotten. God hides you to protect you, to refine you, to prepare you. Before David ever sat on the throne, he learned how to worship in the wilderness. Before Joseph wore the robe of authority, he learned how to endure in obscurity. Before Israel entered the promised land, they learned how to trust God one day at a time. The wilderness doesn't waste time, it redeems it. The wilderness breaks your dependence on outcomes and strengthens your dependence on obedience. When you're walking through it, you stop chasing what you can't control and start listening for the one who leads by fire at night and cloud by day. You learn to move when he moves and wait when he waits. You begin to understand that survival isn't about strength. It's about surrender. You stop demanding clarity and start craving presence. That's when faith matures. That's when your roots grow deep. In the wilderness, God reshapes your vision. You entered thinking you knew what success looked like, but after a few nights of loneliness and a few mornings of manna, your definition changes. You start valuing peace over platform, character over comfort, purpose over popularity. The wilderness simplifies your soul. It removes the noise, the distractions, the illusions until only truth remains. It's in that barren place that you realize you never needed half of what you thought you did. You find contentment in what's left, gratitude in what remains, and strength in what's unseen. The wilderness also exposes what was hidden beneath your surface. It brings your fears to the front, your doubts to the surface, and your insecurities into the light. But exposure is not cruelty, it's cleansing. God allows you to face yourself so you can be free from yourself. You can't lead others out of bondage while still carrying your own chains. The wilderness is the place where those chains start to break, not through force, but through revelation. You realize that God's presence is enough even when his plan is unclear. And while it looks like nothing is happening, everything is happening. Seeds are growing underground. Strength is building in silence. Wisdom is forming in waiting. You may not see progress, but heaven sees transformation. The wilderness is not wasted because every dry step is watering something eternal inside you. Every lonely day is shaping your character. Every unanswered prayer is bending your will towards something greater than your understanding. Preparation always comes before promotion, even when it feels like nothing is happening. You can pray for the next level. You can dream about open doors. You can declare breakthroughs. But God will not take you where your character cannot keep you. Promotion without preparation is dangerous because what comes too soon can crush. So before he elevates you, he equips you. Before he reveals you, he refines you. What feels like a delay is really divine development, shaping you for the weight of what's coming next. People see the stage, but they don't see the seasons of obscurity that built the strength to stand there. Every great assignment is preceded by a quiet apprenticeship. Before David ever faced Goliath, he faced lions and bears in the fields when no one was watching. Before Joseph ruled in the palace, he served in Potiphar's house and endured the prison. Before Esther wore a crown She endured a process of preparation that purified her heart and sharpened her courage. God always trains privately before He promotes publicly. He hides you until your roots are deep enough to handle the fruit that's coming. Preparation isn't glamorous. It's the season where you're doing the work with no applause, praying without answers, giving without recognition. It's the place where your faith is tested and your motives are exposed. You start realizing that success in God's eyes isn't about being seen. It's about being ready. He's not just trying to open doors for you. He's trying to make sure that when they open, you won't fall under the weight of them. He wants your integrity to be as strong as your influence, your discipline to be as deep as your desire, your humility to be as high as your calling. Sometimes preparation looks like disappointment. The job you wanted didn't come through. The opportunity you thought was yours slipped away. The relationship you counted on ended suddenly. But those moments aren't rejection, they're redirection. God is saying, you're not ready for that yet. Not because you're unworthy, but because He's building capacity in you. If He gave it to you too soon, it would destroy you. So He holds you back to build you up. He allows closed doors to keep you focused on development instead of distraction. In preparation, God teaches you the difference between gift and grace. Your gift might get you noticed, but only grace can keep you grounded. Talent might open the door, but character determines if you'll stay in the room. That's why He lets you face situations that stretch your patience, test your attitude, and refine your obedience. Every challenge in the preparation season is shaping the leader inside of you. Every unseen act of faithfulness is building the muscle you'll need when visibility comes. It's easy to grow restless when you see others getting ahead, but comparison is a trap that blinds you to your own process. You don't know what God is preparing them for, and you don't know what He's protecting you from. Your journey isn't delayed, it's designed. Every hidden year has purpose. Every quiet moment has meaning. Every struggle is teaching you how to handle success without losing yourself in it. Preparation seasons are not punishment. They're proof that you're chosen. God only prepares what He plans to use. He invests time in you because He sees destiny in you. The silence, the stretching, the waiting, it's all intentional. He's sharpening your discernment, strengthening your endurance, and aligning your heart with His. So when promotion finally comes, you'll recognize it not as luck, but as the reward of readiness. Pain produces power, even though in the moment it feels like pain only produces tears. It's the kind of truth that can only be understood when you've lived through seasons that tried to break you, but somehow built you instead. Pain has a way of reaching into the deepest places of your soul and uncovering what comfort could never teach you. It strips away illusions, burns off pride, and forces you to confront who you really are beneath the surface. It doesn't feel holy while it's happening, but it's the fire that forges strength, the darkness that defines light, the crushing that brings forth oil. No one becomes powerful without first walking through something painful. Every testimony carries a trail of tears behind it. Every warrior once wondered if they would survive the battle that made them strong. The people who speak with authority about healing are the ones who've been wounded and live to tell the story. The ones who can lift others up are the ones who know what it feels like to be on the floor. Pain is the teacher that nobody asks for, but everybody learns from. It refines your empathy, deepens your wisdom, and anchors your faith. It shows you that survival is not weakness, but evidence of grace. There's a strange sacredness in suffering. When everything else is stripped away, pain becomes the space where you meet God in a way success never allowed. In joy, we celebrate Him. In pain, we encounter Him. When your heart is breaking, when the answers don't come, when the nights stretch longer than the days, that's where power begins to form. Power doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from wrestling with reality and still believing. It's born in the moments when you want to quit but choose to stand anyway, when you keep showing up even when strength seems gone. Pain shifts your perspective. It teaches you what really matters. You stop chasing approval and start seeking authenticity. You stop trying to control everything and start learning to trust what you can't see. Pain pushes you towards surrender, and in surrender, you find power. It's paradoxical, but true. The more you let go, the stronger you become. The more you lose, the more space God has to fill. That's why some of the most powerful people are the ones who've been through the most painful experiences. They've learned that resilience isn't built in comfort, it's built in crisis. Think of how a seed becomes a tree. It must first be buried, broken, and pressed by the weight of the soil before it ever reaches the light. That burial feels like death, but it's actually transformation. The same principle applies to your life. The pain that buried you is the same pressure that will cause you to rise. The breaking that humbled you is the same process that releases your greatness. There can be no resurrection without a cross, no strength without struggle, no victory without vulnerability. Pain doesn't just change you, it reveals you. It uncovers hidden strength, dormant courage, and untapped faith. It forces you to dig deeper than you thought possible. When everything easy is gone, what's left is raw power, unfiltered conviction, real purpose. The pain you survived becomes the fuel for your mission. It gives you a voice that carries authority because it's been tested in the fire. It gives you compassion that can reach others because it understands suffering firsthand. The places where you bled are the same places from which others will be healed. The moments that broke you open are the same ones that made room for your anointing to flow. Your breakthrough is closer than you think, even though everything around you might suggest otherwise. It's often right when you're ready to give up that something begins to shift in the unseen. You pray and it feels like nothing is changing. You push forward and doors still don't open. You fight through tears and exhaustion and wonder if God even hears you. But it's in those moments when you've given your all and have nothing left but faith that breakthrough begins to breathe beneath the surface. Breakthrough never announces itself. It quietly builds in silence until suddenly what looked impossible starts to move. Most people quit right before the moment of change. They give up when the pressure peaks, not realizing that the pressure is the signal that something is about to break open. Labor pains intensify right before birth. The night gets darkest just before dawn. The silence of God often grows deepest right before His voice thunders through your circumstance. When everything seems to be falling apart, it's often falling into place. The tension you feel isn't a sign of defeat, it's a sign of transition. What you call a breakdown, heaven calls preparation for a breakthrough. Breakthrough doesn't always come the way you expect. Sometimes it's not the door that opens, but the strength that grows while waiting. Sometimes God doesn't change the situation. He changes you within it. You start realizing that what He's doing in you is greater than what you're asking Him to do for you. Your patience expands, your faith deepens, your perspective shifts. Suddenly, what used to break you no longer has the same power. That's the first sign that breakthrough is near. When your peace stops depending on your circumstances, it's easy to look at the delay and assume God has forgotten you, but He hasn't. waiting seasons are not wasted seasons. God is a master of time, and he knows exactly when to reveal what he's been preparing. You think it's taken too long, but he's aligning people, positioning opportunities, and removing obstacles you don't even see. If he released the breakthrough before the right moment, you wouldn't be ready to handle it. So he lets you walk through frustration so you can develop foundation. He lets you experience silence so you can recognize his voice when it finally speaks. There's always a moment before the miracle when faith feels foolish. That's when you have to hold on the tightest. The enemy always attacks hardest right before release because he knows what's about to happen. That's why warfare intensifies near the finish line. You start doubting, you start questioning, you start feeling like it's all for nothing. But that's when you need to remind yourself that what you feel is not the full story. God is still moving even when you can't measure progress. Breakthrough is a process before it's a moment. And right now, that process is working in your favor. Your breakthrough may not come in the form of fireworks or grand revelation. Sometimes it begins quietly, a shift in your spirit, a small answered prayer, a sense of peace where there used to be panic. These are signs that change is already underway. The same God who parted seas, moved mountains, and raised the dead is still capable of doing the impossible. Just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've cried, every step you've taken in faith has been building toward this moment. The breakthrough you've been believing for is not distant. It's just on the other side of your persistence.